5 hosts.
5 opinions.
5 fearless debates.
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GBNews.
the People's Channel?
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
It's Saturday night, and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest and beaverest Saturday night TV show. I am spoonerism enthusiast Y. Kilshaw, along with Will Kingston, Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, Dr. David Bull, and Trey Lowe. Tonight on the show.
The establishment still doesn't care about the rape gangs.
Accept disabled babies or ban first cousin marriage.
When Keir Stammer is booted out of office, there must be a general election.
A multicultural city that pays the bills.
And the Mandelson saga isn't shocking at all. It's 6 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5. Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dreamers and schemers, and welcome back to the Saturday 5. After, let's be honest, quite a week. There's only one story in town this week, and that is, of course, Sir Keir Starmer's new announcement of additional funding for his flagship Pride of Place programme to help drive regeneration under the expanded initiative. Oh, hang on, I've got something wrong here. Of course, I am only joking. I was actually just reviewing my introduction from the last presenting gig, and I found this quote, and this will make you laugh. Poor Keir Starmer has had another torrid week in government. That was 3 weeks ago, which is almost comical in light of the absolute bin fire that is British politics in the last few days. The police have searched Peter Mandelson's house. Angela Rayner's allies are briefing that she told you so. Wes Streeting is being pulled into the politically toxic special educational needs reforms. Some Labour MPs calling for Starmer to resign, while embracing him later at Chequers. Epstein invited to Buckingham Palace, Trump backing the deal on Chagos, Morgan McSweeney being blamed, civil servants being blamed, not to mention emails between Epstein and Branson, Gates, Musk, Fergie, as well as Steve Bannon, where he plotted far-right politics across the world. Who better then to discuss, to debate, and as a palate cleanser later on in our third hour, to dive into Beaver than my very glamorous panel tonight. First of all, the only man on the panel more familiar with beavers than me is Will Kingston. One woman whose former tabloid instincts must have been twitching this week. It's Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, and she is reunited, of course, with her former on-screen husband, David Bull. Dr. David Bull, Reform UK chairman. And then, of course, finally, the man who cut his teeth in telly on Lord Sugar's The Apprentice, Trey Lowe. How exciting. I'm excited. But this show would be nothing without you, our most loyal viewers at home. You know where to tell us what we've got wrong by visiting gbnews.com/your say. And if you think there's a story we may have missed, get your questions in, Ask the Five in that final hour. And finally, some of you have already been voting what you want us to debate in the Saturday Scrap, which is my least favourite part of the show for obvious reasons. The three options are: 1, should we scrap student loans? 2, should the UK be involved in an attack on Iran? And 3, should GPs be allowed to work from the beach? Well, luckily we have 2 experts here, so we know who's going to be on one side of the debate. Go to gbnews.com/poll to vote in the poll, but do not go anywhere, because there might be even more news to wrap your head around. Yes, it's time for your Saturday Night News Bulletin with Sophia Wensler.
Kai, thank you and good evening. It's just gone 6 o'clock. These are your headlines. The Metropolitan Police says the criminal investigation into allegations against Lord Mandelson is complex. The force has concluded their search of 2 of his properties in London and Wiltshire and said that a significant amount of further evidence gathering and analysis is required. It comes as Lord Mandelson was visited at his North London home by a defence barrister who specialises in white-collar crime. Adrian Derbyshire KC was seen at the door of the disgraced peer's home today. Peter Mandelson is accused of sending market-sensitive government information to paedophile Jeffrey Epstein while he was the business secretary during the financial crisis. Gordon Brown, who was Prime Minister at the time, says he deeply regrets bringing him into government and accused him of betraying his country. Mandelson denies any wrongdoing. Downing Street is preparing to disclose thousands of documents related to his hiring and time in the job, which the Prime Minister believes will prove he lied about his relationship with a disgraced financier. A handful of MPs have suggested Sir Keir Stammer should consider his position. Elsewhere, Donald Trump has refused to apologise after a video was shared on his Truth Social account depicting Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. The clip appeared towards the end of a minute-long video, which contains claims about voter fraud during the 2020 presidential election. The White House first defended the video before removing it 12 hours later. Speaking to reporters, the US president condemned the video, but insists he didn't make a mistake.
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things. I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There was a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud. And I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a picture that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first part.
Now, a GB News investigation has found that 20 councils across the UK have expressed interest in housing asylum seekers in council houses. A £500 million Home Office scheme will fund building new homes and refurbishing derelict sites. It's part of an effort to stop housing migrants in hotels. GB News approached all 380 local authorities. Brighton and Hove, Hackney and Peterborough are just a few who've expressed interest. And the NHS is hiring foreign GPs to treat patients virtually from abroad, according to reports in the Telegraph newspaper. It's understood doctors are being hired who are based in countries including Australia, India and Malaysia as part of the NHS's 10-year plan to free up GPs. It means patients will be treated by their doctor over a computer screen or on the phone. It comes after a report in December revealed the UK has twice as many foreign doctors and nurses as the Western average. Those are your latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to the Saturday 5.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
It's Saturday night and you're with the Saturday 5. Over the next 3 hours, the biggest debates, the hottest topics and, of course, some entertaining interviews. We've already got one Ask the Five that I want to hit on the head. Can Beaver come out to play? Well, I've got good news. Can you see that one? Little furry friend for you. Sorry?
Much.
Well, that's enough of that. Let's crack on with tonight's first debate, and I'm going to kick us off, of course, because it falls to me tonight to talk about Peter Mandelson and his relationship with disgraced paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. At moments like these, it's hard to know where to start, what to find most appalling. Is it the deceit? The 2011 statement describing Mandelson as being introduced to Epstein a decade before by Ghislaine Maxwell, which was then sent over to Epstein himself to sign off. The claim that he doesn't recall receiving $75,000 from Epstein. Is it the treasonous collusion? The fact that as cabinet minister, he gave Epstein advance notice of a sale of UK government assets and even shared details of the €500 billion bailout of the Eurozone? Or is it the audacity? Until recently, Mandelson was once again trying to rehabilitate himself, writing in The Spectator on the allure of reform on the 21st of January and telling Laura Kuenssberg on the 11th, I think the issue is, because I was a gay man in his circle, I was kept separate from what he was doing in the sexual side of his life. It's appalling, it's sickening, but it's not shocking. Not shocking because this story holds up a mirror onto our politics and our world, a world where money matters more than morality, a politics played as a parlour game, and where charm and charisma gains you the most powerful tool of all, a blind eye. Well, where do we want to start? Will?
I want to start with the classic lefty tactic of when there is a bin fire going on in the Labor Party, just divert and make it about politics in general. Kai, but the reality is this is an absolute disaster from a party that came in saying they're going to bring decency back into politics, and they have failed to do so. You are right to the extent that this is the reason why Reform is leading in the polls and why the Greens are performing very strongly, because people have just given up faith in the political system. But don't try and basically pivot from the key issue that this is a disaster that now I think will probably bring down Stammer.
No, but can I just come back on that, right? Because it would be very convenient. What I don't want to do is pretend like this is one extreme case and not endemic and part of a wider problem with how politics is organised in this world and how the world of finance and capital, frankly, influences that politics. I do think it's relevant, because if you cast off Epstein and Mandelson as extreme examples, I think you missed the wood for the trees. I mean, David, you're in politics.
I am indeed. Look, I want to push back massively on this. What you can see here is Stammer, appalling judgment across the board, pretty much in everything he's done. Peter Mandelson, I know Peter Mandelson, I did the election programme with Peter Mandelson. He always thought he was above the law. He always thought. He thought he was untouchable. And, of course, he has repeatedly, I will use this word advisedly, appeared to lie. He said he didn't know what was going on. We've seen pictures of him in his underwear next to a very young girl. He knew Epstein. He kept in contact with him. He visited his houses. All of this is absolutely horrendous. Now, actually, Stammer favoured George Osborne, as far as I can see, but it was Morgan McSweeney who actually then persuaded him to back Peter Mandelson. Appalling judgment across the board. But as a politician, and remember, that's not my background at all, but I'm now chairman of Reform UK, the fastest-growing political party in this country, the largest party in this country, and that's the reason that people are coming to us, because they are sick and tired of these two monolithic parties who think they're bigger than the rest of us. And actually, you are seeing, essentially, a people's revolt taking place in this country.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely true, but I want to actually push back on this as well as a scandal. I think that this scandal is bigger than anything we have seen in the last couple of decades, and we've seen lots. I think it's bigger than the Profumo affair, and that is saying something, because that did ultimately bring down a government, the whole government, not just one person. This goes far and wide and further than that affair went. That was two girls, a very junior minister or middle-ranking minister, and potentially a Russian chiropractor or whatever he was living in her flat. This is a man who has been operating at the top of this political empire for 3 decades. And I would go as far as to say anybody that has sat around that cabinet table as it sits now, those that are on the back benches now but have sat around that cabinet table, are tainted by this man. Because nobody got into that cabinet without Peter Mandelson anointing them.
But guilt by association only goes so far, and I really won't take that from Reform supporters, from Reform politicians who sit here and allow a guilt by association to be made manifest, when in fact, if we took that same rule and applied it to all politicians, nobody could be in politics.
I'm not saying it's by association. I'm saying...
You're saying by association, by association.
No, I'm
because
not.
These people sat around the cabinet table many years ago, over a decade ago with Mandelson.
Listen, no, I'm not saying that. I'm talking about right now, the cabinet right now, and those people who were in the cabinet until very recently.
Examples. What would be examples?
Well, Wes Streeting. Wes Streeting will never now be leader of the Labour Party, Keir's replacement, because he is too sullied by his association with Mandelson. Peter Mandelson...
Well, Mandelson was his mentor.
Yes. Peter Mandelson has anointed anyone who's got any position of power in the Labour Party. It didn't happen without his blessing.
Are you guys seriously saying that this thing only affects the sort of centre-left and left? You don't think what Kai's saying...
When has anyone said that?
But you don't think the essence of it, the corruption that lives at the heart of politics, this kind of level of power... For instance, no one even talks about the victims. There's this real sense of people at the top can do what they want, and it does. It transcends all of politics, and I think everyone's painted by it.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but there's a real sense of it kind of being, like what you're saying, is more affecting the sort of Labour Party. I think everyone's...
That's not what I said, actually. I said it's both monolithic parties, and I think that we've seen that, and that is why we have people who have real jobs, plumbers, carpenters, electricians, people who clean houses, for example, coming to the party because they are sick and tired of the fact they cast their vote, they see no changes to the way this country is governed. This country is in serious trouble now, and we also, and you make a great point, actually, we have to restore faith in politics, because actually if we don't do that, we are in serious trouble.
And do you worry that Reform, just like all parties seem to fall into the trap of, do you worry that Reform might get bogged down in this when rubber hits the road and it has to govern?
Exactly.
I do, absolutely, and obviously I'm spending my time going around the country. I've seen 7,000 people over the last 7 months building this party from the ground up, not the top down. Now, one of the things that Nigel has said, and he's right, which is that we've got great people, but do we have experience of government? No, and that is why we've brought people in who do have experience of government. So we have to make sure they're the right people, that they believe in everything we believe in. And look, I feel like a proud parent. We started this party. We started it with 2%. It was started in my house, and now, look, we're at 32%.
I mean, look, can I just read you a comment, because I think it's really pertinent.
We'll go to Will after.
Pedro de Sousa. Mandy was one of the main creators of New Labour. He was. So for Brown to say, and now it's just jumped out of here it is, Brown to say he wished he hadn't took Mandy on in 2008 is rich, because without Mandy and co creating the New Labour scam that Blair fronted up, Brown wouldn't have had a job. That's how far his reach goes.
The unique problem that Labor has is the moral piety they took with them when they came into office, and the moral piety that Stammer has to this day without any reason for having it. Well, I think we now need to look at Labor as being in existential risk. There is a real challenge of risk now that they never win another election. The Conservatives have had to grapple with now an existential threat to them from Reform. I think it is now very, very possible that this sort of scandal is a tipping point moment that ultimately isn't just about the people that we've been talking about around that cabinet, but it goes to the very heart of the future of the Labor Party and whether it is viable.
And if it is possible to regain the initiative, what would have to happen for the Labour government?
An election.
Well said. We'll get to that later. Is there anything they can do?
No, there isn't, because their fundamental reason for being is misaligned with the problems this country now faces, particularly around immigration and the economy. They're the two big things, and we know that they are not capable of fixing those two big problems because their solutions are misaligned with the mood of the moment and with what actually needs to be done to fix the country.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. I'm sure we will be discussing that further during the show. I do need to read this out. Lord Mandelson has previously denied any wrongdoing in relation to Jeffrey Epstein, stating, "I was never culpable or complicit in his crimes. Like everyone else, I learned the actual truth about him after his death." He added that he had relied on assurances of his innocence that turned out later to be horrendously false. There has been no suggestion by police that Lord Mandelson is suspected of any criminal offence, and searches of properties linked to him do not imply guilt or wrongdoing. A Downing Street spokesperson also told GBNews, Peter Mandelson's actions are unforgivable. He lied to the Prime Minister, hid information that has since come to light, and presented Jeffrey Epstein as someone he barely knew. Well, there's no easy way to make this segue, but it is time for the Great British Giveaway now, and your chance to get away on a £10,000 luxury holiday for two of your choice, plus bank a totally tax-free £30,000 in cash. That could be your summer sorted. Hayley Sparks has all the details that you need.
We want you to boost your bank account with an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. You wouldn't need to treat yourself to a holiday, as we're also going to treat you to the perfect getaway too. There's also a terrific £10,000 to spend on a Riviera travel holiday of a lifetime for two. So whether you fancy a cruise or an escorted tour, you'll have over 30 worldwide destinations to choose from, which means you could be exploring the wonders of Egypt on a Nile River cruise, or find yourself on a grand tour of Japan, in New Zealand, even enjoying the wonders of India. But you've got to be in it to win it.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck to all you lucky entrants. David, what's coming up next for you?
Well, shall we stay with politics? It looks to me a general election is looking more likely. I've said for a long time it's 2027. It may be sooner than that. We've seen Wes Streeting on the sidelines warming up. We've seen Angela Rayner warming up on the sidelines. The question I have is, if they then actually amount that sort of leadership bid, should there be a general election? I know lots of people around the country feel very passionate about that and very exercised about that, and that's all coming up after this break.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, welcome back to the Saturday 5. Keep getting your questions in, of course, by visiting gbnews.com/your say. Don't forget to vote in the poll, gbnews.com/poll, of course, and Ask the Five will be coming up at 8 p.m, so remember to get your questions in for them. Now, next, I'm going to throw to David. David, take it away.
Yeah, so I mentioned at the top of the programme, if Keir Starmer is booted out, and it looks increasingly likely he will be, should there be a general election? Well, a functioning democracy relies on a democratic mandate from the people the elected government purports to represent. Now, a government can only govern if it has that mandate. When the electorate was asked which government they wanted to run the country, they voted for a left-of-centre administration with sound fiscal principles that promised, and here's the key, remember this, not to raise tax, VAT or national insurance. What they got instead was an abomination, a complete dog's dinner, a complete catastrophe. A government with no principles, no logic, no sense of direction and no ideology. A government which has waged war on every single aspect of British life. Now, if Stammer is deposed, and as I said, it's looking increasingly likely he will be, and if he's replaced by the Lenin Tribute Act, Big Red Ange, then the new government will handbrake turn left towards an uber-socialist agenda, and that is not what the people voted for. So, therefore, it stands to reason that if that was to happen, there is an argument to say that the new government is no longer upholding its electoral promises and, therefore, by default, it no longer has a mandate to govern. If it wishes to do so, it then needs to go to the electorate to get one. If they don't do that, then it could be also argued they are ruling undemocratically and the people of the United Kingdom will be forced to endure something they simply did not vote for. So, in my humble opinion, the government should be made to call a general election where they will be judged by the British people, and as always, the British people will make the right decision. There again, this government doesn't actually believe in elections. They covet living in a dictatorship, like North Korea, Syria and Burkina Faso.
I like Burkina Faso, I like that. It's probably better there.
David,
well, strong words.
Strong words and also nonsense. Because,
come on.
Because here's the thing. Angela Rayner was Deputy Leader of the Labour Party from 2020 until 2025.
Yes.
She was in the Cabinet as Deputy Prime Minister. You really think that the agenda of Sir Keir Starmer and the agenda of an Angela Rayner government, making concessions to the left and the right, as any Labour leader needs to make, is going to be materially different enough to warrant general election? Materially different in a way that, for instance, MPs who defect to reform from the Conservatives don't fall under this rule. That Farage himself in 2020 said that, you know, if they swap parties, there should be a by-election. How is one different? That materially different?
Well, they are materially different. 15 U-turns, I think, and counting, the winter fuel allowance, the benefits bill, the grooming gangs. Literally, but hang on.
But that's under one Prime Minister.
What I would say is that, and this is certainly talking to everyone around the country, no one knew what was about to hit them. They have literally destroyed everyone. Farmers, small businesses, anyone who works hard has been clobbered by this government. They don't want that. And if we drift even more to the left under Angela Rayner, which is highly likely, I think people will leave. 11,000 bonds have already left the country.
Kai, I hear what you're saying, that she's in that government, there's collective responsibility. Ed Miliband is around that table as well.
Indeed.
And if he was made Prime Minister next week, we would lurch massively to the left. Just because they're in that government doesn't mean they're all on the straight and narrow to Keir Starmer's. It's what they have to do currently.
Yeah, Trey, what do you make of this? Centrism for the win? Is that going to happen?
Turkey's never going to vote for Christmas, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit obvious. I'm sure if Reform was in government under the same circumstances, they would never do the same. But I think what you say is quite valid. I think if an MP crosses the floor of the House, as many have done so far, should it not trigger a by-election, I think it's the same thing. I think, more or less broadly speaking, I agree with Kai. The agenda of Labour is not going to change that much just because the leader changes. It's not like you're going from,
you really believe,
you know, Stammer to a Corbyn-type person. It's not going to be the biggest change.
Do you really believe
Yes,
that?
I really do. And I'm not a fan of this government because U-turn, but I don't think they're going to change that much.
Who definitely doesn't believe that.
Well, of course the agenda will change. There are a few things more dangerous than a socialist with nothing to lose, and Angela Rayner would be a socialist with nothing to lose. I think they are well aware they're going to get absolutely horsewhipped in the next election, and as a result of that, she will unleash her socialist fantasies on the nation. I think it is as simple as that.
With the unions backing her. And you only need to look at the unions and where they are to know where Angela Rayner will be.
The one question I do have, and I agree with you in principle, David, but I don't buy into this argument, unfortunately, that there will be an election before 2029, because I just can't see the mechanism by which you would get there.
So the mechanism would be that if they lurch to the left, the markets will then panic. There will be a sell-off of currency, the pound will crash, and that is how an election could be called.
Well, Tom Brown has just said on Your Say that when Stammer is gone, the markets will force a general election very quickly if Rayner gets in.
But it would still rely upon the government voluntarily choosing to announce...
Well, not if the pound is in freefall.
Yeah. I mean, look at Liz Truss. Look what happened there. I mean, I know we got Rishi and we got, you know, some steadiness, but ultimately, once you've lost the confidence and interest rates have gone up, people's mortgages have been affected.
But Will's right in principle. It doesn't mean the government would change.
What is the mechanism? The King is not going to step in.
No.
He's absolutely not. And I can't see another mechanism.
So I imagine there'll be a vote of no confidence. You've got lots of junior members of Parliament thinking, actually, I'd quite like to stay a member of Parliament, and they can't see a future for themselves. So then they may turn against their leader. I don't know. It's all speculative. But I think that election is coming soon.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, it is interesting in speaking to many Labour MPs how closely they look at the MRPs, i.e. the most accurate polls, seat by seat, of what happens in the next general election. So, I mean, they're all out to some degree out for themselves. Yeah. They want to be MPs for a long period of time.
Is Angela Rayner's future at the moment in the hands of HMRC?
Yes. I think she has said before, hasn't she, that she's waiting on the result before making any moves. But we're going to have to leave it there. Will, what do you have for us?
Yes, it is the end of the first week of the independent rape gang inquiry being led by Rupert Lowe. Sadly, what it has established is that the establishment still doesn't care about the rape gangs. All that after the break.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Yet more wet and windy weather to come this weekend for Iberia, although Sunday at least is less wet for a brief period. There are also lots of showers affecting parts of Greece into Turkey. Italy dry at first on Sunday, but this next batch of rain and showers moves through, that bringing some heavy downpours to the Balearics. Drier for a time across Spain, Portugal and the Canary Islands, but more rain and wind on the way by early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more rain to come, especially across eastern Scotland tonight. Showers easing elsewhere, and that will allow a few mist and fog patches to start Sunday morning. So low pressure is still dominating our weather. The wind's coming up more from a south and southeasterly direction. So the rain across Northern Ireland, Northern England will continue to push its way northwards, coming into much of Scotland. We have a yellow Met Office rain warning in force again for eastern parts of Scotland, so could see some disruption and some flooding. To the south of that, any clear skies. We may even see some mist and fog patches across the southeast of England and across Northern Ireland. Otherwise, a generally frost-free, mild start to Sunday. But a wet Sunday to come across much of Scotland, even pushing into western areas, but most persistent rain first thing is going to be across eastern areas, across Northern Ireland to start Sunday morning, quite murky with some low cloud, mist and fog. A similar picture for the rest of England and Wales. There could be some brightness just coming through first thing on Sunday. For Sunday as a whole, though, it does look to be generally drier than Saturday. There will be some breaks in the cloud to give it some glimpses of some sunshine, but otherwise later on in the afternoon we'll start to see showers progressing in from the west. So across Devon and Cornwall into Wales, we'll see some heavy showers, possibly with some thunder, longer spells of rain persisting across Scotland. Otherwise, it's still generally rather mild, highs of up to 9 or 11 degrees. A messy picture as we go into Monday. A lot of cloud around, perhaps quite murky to start. Further spells of rain pushing their way northwards into Scotland. And then again, areas that do not need any more wet rainfall, it is going to be turning wet in the west, drier in the east with some sunshine. The unsettled theme is still here to stay, but perhaps temperatures just dropping later.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Please do get in touch at gbnews.com/yoursay. I'm going to highlight this one from Andrew Bollington. Asks, Alex identifying as David. He looked much better when he identified as Emma. I should mention and give a shout out to Alex Armstrong, whose birthday it is today.
Yeah, happy birthday.
It's a big birthday. And also my own sibling, Tyrion. It's their birthday too. So double birthday. Anyway,
brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Get your questions in for Ask the Five as well. And now it's time for our next debate, and I'm going to kick it off to Will.
Thanks, Kai. We have reached the end of the first week of the independent rape gangs inquiry being led by Rupert Lowe. I cannot emphasise how important this inquiry is, because I have no faith that the government-led inquiry will provide justice for victims, and the glacial pace at which that is moving at the moment is evidence of that. There are already insights emerging that we either didn't know or that have been underappreciated. The most significant are that there has been an international dimension which so far we weren't aware of in the rape gang saga. It is now apparent that there were young girls and women who were sexually exploited in Britain, who were then trafficked overseas, usually to Pakistan, and sexually exploited there as well. There is emerging evidence that illegal migrants were part of rape gangs, which would connect the small boats crisis with the rape gangs crisis. But the most significant theme that I think runs across the week is the sheer coordination across these gangs across the country. There are the same names, the same tactics, the same cities that pop up again and again in survivor testimony. Rupert Lowe has likened this to a well-drilled army, and I don't think we fully appreciate at this stage just how coordinated these gangs are as a network across the United Kingdom. The tragedy, however, is that the establishment still doesn't care, at least not enough. And there have been three groups that have been conspicuous in their silence when it comes to this inquiry in the last week. The first is the Islamic community. I haven't heard nearly enough from so-called community leaders denouncing what has been a blight on Islamic communities across the country. The second is the media. With the exception of GB News, they have been silent on this inquiry, which has been shameful. The BBC hasn't said a word on it, which goes to show that they still care more about their precious multicultural project than they do about the safety of women and young girls. And then the third is the political parties themselves. I think that the Conservatives and Labor have not cooperated with this inquiry as fully as they should have, because they are afraid that their silence on the rape gangs for too long will reveal that they were complicit. And I don't think Reform is supporting this as fully as it should be for what I suspect are petty personal squabbles with Rupert Lowe. My challenge to Nigel Farage, and indeed to David on the panel tonight, would be to more fully support this inquiry as it moves from gathering insights into seeking justice, because it is the best hope to get that justice for the victims of this atrocity.
Well said.
Well, straight to you, David, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, justice for these young people is absolutely paramount. And as far as I'm aware, there's no petty politics going on whatsoever.
So why haven't we heard Nigel Farage talking about this more? I haven't heard anything on him.
To be fair, you do call out the media, right, in your intro, but I couldn't find much at all of a splash on this anywhere online.
Patrick Christie's has covered it.
I would say GBNews has been
I'm
covering it
now. The BBC hasn't, but I want to get back to that comment. I haven't heard Nigel Farage talk about this inquiry this week.
No, it's really interesting. I hadn't really thought about it. I think also we're so sort of probably overwhelmed by what else is going on that I'm not sure it's been top of his agenda, and actually it probably should be. I'm not here to defend Nigel Farage, but actually I think all politicians of all different colours should actually make sure they come out, that justice is done. You know, also I want to know who knew what and when. And why wasn't it followed up? And in fact, Rennie and I, we were talking about this years ago, I think, you know, in terms of the grooming gangs and the lines, that we knew what was going on back then. And yet I want to know why the forces did nothing about it.
Well, we do. I mean, we do know, don't we? And we've also seen this week that there's a police member that's been repeatedly protected and has allegedly assaulted one of the girls.
Do you agree with Will's sort of prognosis that these people are complicit and that's why we're not hearing about it?
Yes, of course, and that's why we need a statutory inquiry so that they are all held to account.
Yeah, Trevor?
Yeah, no, I do. And I have to admit, I love Will's passion in this, actually, because I think you hear about this, you hear about Epstein, and no one really seems to care about the victims much. It all seems to be about protecting men, essentially, for crimes against women, and I think something needs to be done. Inquiry on this, on Epstein, on all of these things. These are powerful men taking advantage and colluding together to make sure that women are not getting justice. Absolutely.
I remain astonished by the complicity of so many institutions across the country when you see these testimonies from victims, particularly the NHS and the police are two, which there were several nurses, several police officers which saw these problems going on and they actively...
and they need to go to jail.
And they need to go to jail. And the good thing to hear is that Rupert Lowe is organising for negligence claims to be actually made against people that they can identify who did turn away.
Absolutely. Prosecutions. Renee, you were just speaking. Let's just stick with you and let's hear what you have to say in your story.
So on another not-so-cheery topic, a baby died just last week, or it came to the news just last week, because the NHS had staffing issues. This was a home birth, a completely avoidable tragedy. And then this week we read that NHS Bradford has decided they're going to use their money to employ a specialist nurse to support those who are married to close family members. Because when that happens, the children are born terribly disabled if they even survive birth and have a lifetime of misery. If we actually want to prevent suffering of children, the answer is really easy and obvious. Stop the cause. First cousin marriage causes harm, lifelong disability and massive cost to society and the NHS. We already ban marriages between siblings. I'm not allowed to marry my brother. So this is just extending that law by common sense. But government after government, not just this one, but the one before it, refused to act. Why? Because it's mainly Muslims who marry their first cousins, and cultural sensitivity and votes are dictating what these politicians are prepared to do. Apparently, those things matter more than disabled children. So instead of funding frontline care and saving babies' lives, we keep paying for the damage that's being done that never needed to happen in the first place.
You are absolutely right. Consanguineous marriages should be banned immediately. I think it's absolutely horrific that you can marry your first cousin. When you look at Bradford, for example, 46% of mothers in the Pakistani community are married to a first or second cousin. Now, it doesn't take a genius to work out that you don't have a very big gene pool, do you?
And with every generation, it just accumulates.
Gets worse.
Dr. Renee and David, does that mean this nurse shouldn't be recruited for, this position shouldn't be recruited for? These people exist, as you say, 46%
but you're
of
Pakistani
mothers in
the stable door after the horse is bolted. I think what we need fundamentally is a change in legislation. to say it's not OK to marry your first cousin.
But given that high percentage that you just highlighted, and given that those kids require a third more primary care appointments than other children, that they have a 6% probability of inheriting a recessive disorder, surely this is common sense.
No, really, because this...
But what you're doing is what the left do when they're facing this topic. Instead of sitting there and saying, I, Kai, agree we should ban first cousin marriages, you are deflecting so that you don't have to say it.
Yeah.
I'll say it. And I think we should ban first cousin marriage.
OK.
And this is part of a broader problem in this country where you are basically minimising the particular cultural customs and routines of the English people to appease a growing Muslim voter.
That's not
this is one of many examples. We saw earlier in the week that stupid report come out about the countryside being too white and putting dogs on leashes so you don't scare Muslims. This is part of a growing trend in this country, particularly from the Labor Party, because they're terrified of putting off a Muslim vote.
You would have us all, so you would have us all ignore the problem, right? Not recruit this position, not recruit specialists.
What do you think?
Just ignore the fact that it exists.
But what does this nurse actually do?
What's it going to achieve?
What does it actually do? So when you read this, it provides comprehensive care and support to families who've recently had a baby and are close relatives, cousins, uncles, aunts. That should be absorbed into a wider NHS. What we're doing is taking money for a post that should be used for general nursing, in my humble opinion.
Do you know what I want to say, though, as well, though? I think, is it such a big thing? It almost reminds me of the sort of ban the burqa argument a little bit. It feels like another sort of whip to sort of whip Muslims with.
But
listen,
their parents
you said something like 6% or something are affected by it. You know, we've had a tradition in this country of, certainly in the royals, marrying cousins going back.
Well, no, they're not
no, but there
cousins.
has been, right? Going back across Europe, there has been,
you know
right?
why they don't now, Trey? Because they realise that the children ended up.
But I'm not. Look, listen, I think for me it sometimes sounds like it's just an attack on Muslim culture. 46%. No, but it is. That's what it sounds like. Why? 40%. Yeah, I know, but why attack them? Is it a big thing? Is it going to put our food prices down, for instance? Is it such a big issue?
In our NHS.
We waste a lot of money on a lot of nonsense in the NHS. I'm not saying it's OK against.
Maybe a libertarian might make, right? Let people do what they're going to do in their private lives.
And who picks up the bill? It's the NHS.
Yes.
But also,
I'm not making the argument. I'm saying...
No, shall I tell you who picks up the bill?
the children.
The disabled children, Trey.
OK. Yeah. So your thing is about the children, or is it about the culture and the customs that you want to start?
It's about the children.
I like the fact that Will just says it. Both.
Well,
Fine. It's OK.
This is obviously incompatible with British values.
Fine. At least say it for what it is, I think.
There'll be plenty more time to discuss multiculturalism, as we know. I do need to give this right of reply. An NHS spokesperson says the NHS is clear that having closely related parents can increase the risk of inherited genetic conditions and serious illness. This role is part of a small pilot which will test whether nurses with specialist training in these complications could help save and improve the lives of more vulnerable babies targeted in an area where close relative marriage is prevalent. And we are going to stick with this topic because, Trey, what do you have coming up?
My God, I can just imagine how this topic's going to end for me. I'm talking about the multicultural city that absolutely powers this nation. I can't wait to have this conversation. Right back after the break.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you until 7.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. Please do keep getting in contact at gbnews.com/your-say. Got a couple here from that last topic. Hilary Sanders says having a nurse in that role normalises this behaviour. So the role is for people who've had a baby as a result of first cousin marriage. It should not be allowed.
Good point.
And then another one simply says from Diane D, Trey, shut up, you're totally wrong. But we're going to ignore that and go straight to Trey now for the next debate. Trey, take it away.
Well, I'm sure he's going to love this debate as well. So, according to new research, one London borough, Wandsworth, generates more in income tax revenue than whole city like Leeds. In fact, London and the South East generate a whopping 45% of UK's income tax. Now, let me be clear, London does have its challenges. I spoke about its challenges last week with crime, etc. And I genuinely also believe that we need a new mayor in London. But that doesn't take away from the sheer success of this city, a multicultural city. And it flies in the face of people who say that multiculturalism doesn't work. You know, London is a multicultural success story. So many people, millions of people from different faiths, backgrounds, ethnicities working hard, contributing to an economy that actually keeps the entire country afloat. I say this, and I say it proudly as a Londoner. I'm proud of this beautiful city, and I'm proud of the diversity that powers this nation.
Renee?
OK, so you can hold two thoughts at the same time, OK? You can. Well, I can.
I can't.
I can. London is a multicultural kind of place, but I reiterate what I've said on this show so many times it gets boring. It is a place of ghettos in the main, OK? And
all of London?
London is a collection of ghettos. Even where I live in leafy North London, you only need to move 200 yards down the road and you are in Orthodox Jewish areas. Then another direction.
There's a problem with there being Orthodox Jewish areas?
I'm just talking to you about all of the different ghettos. I don't want you to say to me I'm always talking about Muslims. I can't win with you.
No, but when you use the term ghettos in reference to a Jewish neighbourhood, it kind of is not the best analogy.
There is nowhere in London now where it is truly multicultural. It is a collection of ghettos. And I had a look at the figures. When you actually look at London, of course we're the powerhouse, we're the capital, it's the financial centre. Go to any country in the world and the capital city will produce all of the tax. So I had a look at Poland. Warsaw produces the majority of their tax. Warsaw is 98% white Polish. It's not multiculturalism.
It's not a global city, though, is it? You wouldn't ask your average person what Warsaw is. But listen, you've got about 3 or 4 global cities
just want to give you...
And most of them are multicultural. I would argue that bringing the best of the talents from all over the world actually powers it. From Dubai to New York.
Only it worked like that. So I then had another look. London has got a 7% unemployment rate, which is higher than the rest of the country. And if you break that down, 39% of Bangladeshis are unemployed, 36.9% of black people. Newham, which speaks 114 languages, I grew up there, supposed to be multiculturalism, 8.7% unemployment. Barking and Dagenham next, Brent next. And multiculturalism is not creating a tax.
Can I just go back to your multiculturalism? I do agree with you on all of that, but it is about integration, and that's what the Afro-Caribbean community did extremely well when they first came to this country. What René's talking about is also true. So I live in Tower Hamlets. Well, Tower Hamlets is a complete ghetto. So we've got people who don't necessarily speak English, who live in their own communities. There's no integration. That is a problem. We've got people wandering around in burqas in East London. I have a problem with that. I think it's a barrier to communication. When I worked in Ealing as a junior doctor, which was at least 3,000 years ago... 3,500 years ago, we had problems there. So we had people who didn't speak any English, and as René will testify, when you are trying to do a clinical consultation with someone who doesn't speak English, you don't get great care, because you are basically reliant on translators the whole time, and therefore you don't get the proper diagnosis and treatment.
Will, you moved here. What do you make of Trey's prognosis here?
The logic is a nonsense. There is no relationship between multiculturalism and economic growth. Birmingham is also a multicultural city, inverted commas, and that's an economic basket case. The fact of the matter is, we now know that there are some cultures and countries that contribute more, who've come to the United Kingdom, that contribute more than others. Australians, on average, contribute more than Eritreans and Somalians, for example. And we need to have the courage to call that out, and I think we need to have the courage to incorporate that into decisions around which countries are allowed visas and which aren't.
Yeah. Can I just jump in as well? One thing that your framing of this story, I think, misses the wood for the trees. And the reason why is, yes, London is a unique powerhouse, not just here, but also in the world, right? There is a reason for that. And it's the north-south divide, the class divide, the fact that London agglomerates all of its power, political, economic and otherwise, into its orbit. That's one of the main problems that the UK has right now. I'm from Wales, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you look at some of the districts, some of the parts of Wales, when we were part of the EU, we have the poorest parts of the EU in Wales. Not in Poland, not in Romania, in Wales.
And some of that was due to a Tory government that gutted a lot of industry.
Of UK.
No, I agree with you. I'm going to say this too. Can I say this?
Anyway,
go for it.
When the wind rushes people, I just
5 seconds. There's lots more to
Oh, it's a great conversation.
First, your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more rain to come, especially across eastern Scotland tonight. Showers easing elsewhere, and that will allow a few mist and fog patches to start Sunday morning. So low pressure is still dominating our weather. The wind's coming up more from a south and southeasterly direction. So the rain across Northern Ireland, Northern England will continue to push its way northwards, coming into much of Scotland. We have a yellow Met Office rain warning in force again for eastern parts of Scotland, so could see some disruption and some flooding. To the south of that, any clear skies. We may even see some mist and fog patches across the southeast of England and across Northern Ireland. Otherwise, a generally frost-free, mild start to Sunday. But a wet Sunday to come across much of Scotland, even pushing into western areas, but most persistent rain first thing is going to be across eastern areas, across Northern Ireland to start Sunday morning, quite murky with some low cloud, mist and fog. A similar picture for the rest of England and Wales. There could be some brightness just coming through first thing on Sunday. For Sunday as a whole, though, it does look to be generally drier than Saturday. There will be some breaks in the cloud to give it some glimpses of some sunshine, but otherwise later on in the afternoon we'll start to see showers progressing in from the west. So across Devon and Cornwall into Wales, we'll see some heavy showers possibly with some thunder. Longer spells of rain persisting across Scotland. Otherwise, it's still generally rather mild, highs of up to 9 or 11 degrees. A messy picture as we go into Monday. A lot of cloud around, perhaps quite murky to start. Further spells of rain pushing their way northwards into Scotland. And then again, areas that do not need any more wet rainfall, it is going to be turning wet in the west, drier in the east with some sunshine. The unsettled theme is still here to stay, but perhaps temperatures just dropping later.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want you to boost your bank account with an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. There's also a terrific £10,000 to spend on a Riviera travel holiday of a lifetime for two. So whether you fancy a cruise or an escorted tour, you'll have over 30 worldwide destinations to choose from.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay. Because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night, and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Kai Wilshaw, along with Will Kingston, Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, Dr. David Ball, and Trey Lowe. Tonight on the show,
will the Mandelson saga finish Keir Stammer?
It's time to celebrate masculinity.
Our Saturday night scrap. Should GPs work from the beach?
And get your questions in for Arts the 5. Nothing is off topic.
Mark, are you the Beaver expert here at Drusilla's?
I guess I could be.
As promised, I've been out in the field and I'll be bringing you my report on beavers. It's 7 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5. Yes, welcome back to the Saturday 5. As always, it's been quite a rowdy break. Quite difficult to keep a control of this lot. But we'll keep going, I'll try. We keep wanting to know your views. Ronnie B says, my great-grandfather married his cow, but that was due to milk tax issues. Always good to hear from viewers. Send your views and post your comments by visiting gbnews.com/your say. But before we continue to tear each other apart, it's your Saturday Night News with Sophia Wensler.
Kai, thank you and good evening. It's 1 minute past 7. Your top stories this hour. The Metropolitan Police says the criminal investigation into allegations against Lord Mandelson is complex. The force has concluded their search of 2 of his properties in London and Wiltshire and said that a significant amount of further evidence gathering and analysis is required. It comes as Lord Mandelson was visited at his North London home by a defence barrister who specialises in white-collar crime. Adrian Derbyshire KC was seen at the door of the disgraced peer's home today. Peter Mandelson is accused of sending market-sensitive government information to paedophile Jeffrey Epstein while he was the business secretary during the financial crisis. Gordon Brown, who was Prime Minister at the time, says he deeply regrets bringing him into government and accused him of betraying his country. Mandelson denies any wrongdoing. Downing Street is preparing to disclose thousands of documents related to his hiring and time in the job, which the Prime Minister believes will prove he lied about his relationship with the disgraced financier. A handful of MPs have suggested Sir Keir Starmer should consider his position, including Green Party leader Zach Polanski.
Keir Starmer should absolutely resign. He knew that Peter Mandelson was friends with a notorious paedophile. He was still staying in his house even after he was convicted. And he did it because he thought he could whisper in Donald Trump's ear. Now, if this was just one mistake, I would say it would probably still be a resignation issue. But we know it's been mistake after mistake after mistake. Keir Starmer has lost the trust and confidence of the British public, and it's very clear it's time for him to step down.
In other news, President Volodymyr Zelensky says the US wants Moscow and Kyiv to find a solution on how to end the war in Ukraine before the summer. The Ukrainian president added that both sides had been invited to the US for talks next week. It comes after Zelensky claimed Russia had launched 400 drones and 40 missiles in its latest attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Back in the UK, a 15-year-old boy has been remanded into custody after appearing in court charged with the attempted murder of a teacher at a school in West Wales. The school pupil allegedly attacked the female teacher with a kitchen knife after asking for help with work at Milford Haven Comprehensive School on Thursday afternoon. He was charged with attempted murder, grievous bodily harm and possession of a bladed article on education premises. And much of England and Wales are at risk of flooding after it's rained every day of this year so far. South West England and South Wales have seen 50% more rainfall than usual for this time of year. The Environment Agency has issued dozens of flood warnings, mostly scattered across the south and southwest of England and the Midlands. Those are the latest GB News headlines. I'll have more for you in an hour.
It's Saturday night and you're with the Saturday 5. Only an hour left until Beavers, but I can promise that in the meantime, you are in for a very lively hour. So let's crack on with tonight's main event. Yes, the National Health Service is allowing GPs to work from the beach and treat patients virtually from abroad. Under a new pilot scheme by a private company, doctors can work remotely for the NHS, holding consultations by phone or video while living abroad in countries such as Australia, India and Malaysia. Health bosses say the plan will boost productivity, but should the NHS be offshoring healthcare? Seconds out, it's round 1, and it's me and Renee, but I'm going to leave this for you, Dr. Renee.
Oh, and I was
all
going
right.
to let you start.
Oh, surely not.
OK, I'll start. Look, it's a ridiculous idea, and I'll tell you why it's a ridiculous idea. It ignores 2 very important things. On the one hand, patients and what patients want. Patients have a right under the NHS Charter to demand to see a GP in person. So what do? Fly them out to India, Australia? I mean, it'd be quite nice, because we're not going to be flying the GP in to see them. It's ridiculous from that perspective anyway, and I know every day that if people want to see me, you have to see them. Sometimes you have to see them anyway, because you can't do it by phone, and I would always argue that you can do lots by phone. The most complaints that the GMC gets about GPs are when a GP has not laid a hand on the patient. The other really important thing is we have unemployed GPs in the UK. 15% of GPs currently are unemployed. They cannot find work. And 56% of them, and I am one of them, cannot find as much work as they would like to do. 4 in 5 locums, that's me, cannot find extra shifts anymore. 3 years ago, I could have got them every single day, but no longer. Why? Because GPs don't have the space, they don't have the funds to open up extra rooms in their practices, and also they're now employing physician associates to be GPs, and the problem with that is that they call it a GP appointment, and that looks like the figures are getting better, but actually the patient isn't seeing a GP. So why we would have to outsource jobs abroad when we have plenty of GPs here who would take those jobs, it's a non-starter, and it's shameful that we're even thinking about it to massage some figures.
Oof. Strong words from Dr. Renee. Of course, I completely disagree. Look, this is all part of the NHS 10-year plan, one of which says to increase clinical capacity in creative ways. Now, we talk so much on this show about Britain being broken. Immigration, healthcare, public services in their entirety are broken. Now, we need urgent solutions. We need to think the unthinkable. Reform itself has said this, you know, in terms of the economy. They've said that we need to ask the big questions, think creatively to fix difficult problems. So I welcome this. Most of the people involved in this trial, and it is a trial, of course, I'm sure it won't go ahead unless it works. Most of the people involved are ex-UK doctors anyway. People who have moved away, and this lot says that lots of them have moved away, and want maybe to help pick up the slack. What will they do? These things, principally. Triaging patients, reviewing lab results, and phone consultations. I don't think that's a big stretch. If it helps solve some of the slack that we clearly have in the healthcare system, bring some waiting lists down, and still provide GPs the opportunity to see people in their community, as is, of course, the #1 choice, then so be it. I welcome the trial. I think it's a great idea, and if they're doing it from the beach, then great, as long as they do their job.
Excellent words from somebody who clearly has no idea what it is like to be a GP day to day. The thing is, Kai, other people can't triage your results because you ordered those tests for a reason, so you might have a completely different view on them to another doctor. What is acceptable for you might not be acceptable for another doctor, so you ship it out, then you've got to ship it back, and that GP's still got to do it anyway. And why on earth would we use doctors who have chosen to go abroad, whether British or not, to reduce waiting lists when we have up to 20,000 unemployed ones here, right here, in the UK? Why? How does it help to ship the workload out? This is a nonsense, and you know it.
No, well, I want to hear the views of the rest of the panel, and we do have another doctor on the panel.
We do.
David, don't you welcome this? Doesn't reform itself ask for bold ideas?
Of course, we absolutely do. But Renee is right, I'm afraid to say. I hate it when she's right, but she is right. When you look at resident doctors, 34% of resident doctors are actually unemployed. These are British-trained doctors. They need to have a job. Secondly, when you look at the F2, which used to be a senior house officer, I think, when I did it.
Sure.
Yeah, it was 100 years ago again. 52% of them are unemployed. Now, where I do agree is that when if you have very clever reporting, you have an MRI, for example, you then have it reported on overseas, and then it's back very quickly for you to then go back to the patient. But Renee's point is valid, which is that when you see the patient, you touch the patient, you know you should have a clinical feel for what is wrong with that patient, you then do tests to confirm or deny that diagnosis. Once you do that, they come back to you. So the idea that you outsource to someone else is just plain wrong. But what this smacks of is management speak. This is what I see all the time in the NHS, which is people who've never seen a patient thinking this is a great idea, and I'm now putting you in that group.
But this is the point, isn't it? I want to bring in the others who have no experience of being a GP, just like myself, but who recognise that healthcare in this country is completely down you know, down the loo. I mean,
guys, I've spoken about my conditions. I live with tinnitus, I have derealizations. I've spent literally, I'm 51 now, I spent the age of 15 in and out of hospital and GP care. There are some instances where I don't have to go to GP. I'll give you an example. I think in the world of mental health, for instance, tinnitus is as much mental health as anything else. Having someone online, maybe on Zoom, that can speak to you about your symptoms and talk about it, it's better if you do it on phone, surely, than going in. Wouldn't that save a bit of time? Or even things like blood results. I went and got bloods the other day.
Did you hear what I said about the number of complaints at the GMC are when a doctor hasn't physically touched the patient?
I know, but there must be some instances in terms of the merit of this where you don't physically have to go in.
That's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't you use your unemployed doctors to do it?
Well, that's the point. Why wouldn't you employ, you know, this is British money, why wouldn't you employ British doctors?
Who want
we spend
to work?
280 billion quid on the NHS.
That bit, obviously, you can't defend, but
work more. I would work more in the week. I can't get them
on the phones doing that.
I
want in person. But that's what I mean. Rather than have people going in person to a GP surgery, there would be.
But they already do that anyway.
I already do that. I always work from my surgery. Some of it's on the phone, some of it's in person.
Go on, Will.
I would do more.
I want to know why this myth endures in the UK that we need to ship in heaps of doctors and nurses from other countries, despite the fact that there is obviously so many people who can't get a job as a doctor in the UK. Well, how does that myth endure?
Do one of the doctors on the panel want to give a layperson's explanation, both for us, perhaps, but also the viewers at home, as to what the key problems that mean...
So can I just add in one other thing, which is the pension arrangements have been a huge problem. So senior doctors are leaving because the pension entitlement is not good enough. So
but that's not so much why GPs are unemployed.
I agree with that, but then you're losing expertise. But actually, I think it's many of these trusts are deciding for a cheaper option. And it's cheaper to employ someone who's sitting on Bondi Beach than it may well be to have them in person.
Or in India.
But what about people that don't get in to see GPs? I'm very lucky I've got a good GP, but what people just don't get in? Wouldn't it be better to have a little bit more capacity? I mean, you guys know more than me, so I'm just saying from your point of view.
With the unemployed GPs that are here in the UK wanting to work.
But again, it's cheaper, though, isn't it, if you're talking about saving money to get someone on a beach somewhere else, would it not be?
I doubt it.
So we've talked about this a great deal. So there are very clever private companies who give you a same-day GP, but they cherry-pick their patients, don't they? So they have only well patients. And you've seen that, where you sign up and it's a remote service. But actually, if you've got an elderly lady with complex chronic needs, there is nothing better than seeing a GP, because it's so difficult to disentangle all of that.
Or if you're really worried about your baby, even if I'm not, you might insist that I see them just to put your mind at rest.
Yeah, in those instances, absolutely.
Do you think that there still should be the choice of a patient to decide whether they do a phone consult or an in-person consult?
Yes, and I've always said that. I mean, at our practice, it's half and half probably most of the time. Some days I get in, it's all telephone. Really? Some days I get in and it's all in person. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. But the point is that we have unemployed doctors here. The other point is that most patients want the choice to see a doctor if they choose to do it that way.
I imagine part of the problem is matching up particular areas with particular doctors. Surely, if they can work from anywhere, that would mitigate that problem.
But also,
then they couldn't see the patients.
But the other problem we've got is junior doctors, relatively junior doctors, saying, I don't want to work in the NHS, I'm leaving for Australia. And who can blame them when the lifestyle is so much better and the money is better?
Yeah.
And the pressure is less.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not... I think
You're still
this
not
is,
convinced.
I'm not convinced. Honestly, I mean, it's part of a suite of measures, right? I'm not all over every single thing that the NHS 10-year plan has planned, right? I don't know all that detail, but I know that there's a hell of a lot more happening than just this trial. And to paint it, as Stuart Andrew did, as, you know, that it breaks the link between continuity with a GP and knowing your community and so on, I think is bad faith.
So there's one other thing, is that the NHS is so toxic politically that if you were going to have an open discussion, to say, where are we, where should we go? When you look at our cancer survival rates, they are 15 years behind Europe. Why is that? What do we need to do to actually change that and to move forward? Some of the answers are pretty unpalatable. And certainly politically, if you ever say, you know, the NHS remains free at the point of need, and literally if you try and have a conversation about it, people go crazy.
So isn't this a good thing then? You're looking at some sort of innovation in the NHS. Surely that's a good thing.
Do you know how galling it must be? Do you know how galling it must be to take 13 years to get to be a GP, which is what it took with everything I did, and then come out and not have a job?
Plus the cost as well for a lot of junior doctors.
We are going to have to leave it there, but still to come tonight.
Reading books is a very cheap way to, I guess, entertain. I wouldn't call it entertainment.
Yes, big thinker Andrew Tate, that's one thing. Tonight, can Keir Starmer survive the latest blow to his leadership? This is the Saturday 5, only on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. David, how are you finding your time on the show so far?
Well, it's great. It's rumbustious. I think we've had some pretty strongly worded discussions. I mean, I'm used to it with Renee, obviously.
Yeah.
As my wife, you know, it's nag, 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 nag. Actually, we've been pretty much on the same...
Yeah.
I need it.
You need to be kept...
Do I?
Yeah, control.
Well, Will knows this as well.
Renee,
you've seen this before.
How many marks out of 10 would you give David?
9.
No.
Thank you.
Oh, plenty of space to improve. Well,
thank you.
Do keep getting your questions in. Get your questions in for Ask the 5. We've had quite a few. Thank you for your messages so far. I'll read one in a little bit that is very complimentary about me. Well, it's sort of half and half. But we will move on back to the Mandelson story because police have concluded their search of 2 separate addresses in Wiltshire and London as part of an investigation launched into Peter Mandelson. The disgraced peer is under investigation after it emerged he had allegedly leaked secret government documents and market-sensitive information to paedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. The Metropolitan Police say the case is complex and more evidence must be examined, and he has not been arrested and inquiries continue. Well, joining me now to discuss all of this and more is former Labour advisor Sam White. Sam, good evening.
Hello.
So, for those viewers who might not have been following the minute by minute, can you bring us up to speed on what's been happening today and yesterday in the Mandelson saga?
Hi, can you hear me okay? The reception seems to be a little bit iffy.
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Great. The Mandelson saga continues to rage through the UK and the Labour Party and the government as the Epstein saga kind of rages across the Atlantic. The latest developments in the UK have been a very fractious mood among Labour politicians. Prime Minister over the last 2 days who has sought to make very clear he apologises not only to the victims, but to, he apologises for believing Peter Mandelson, and he certainly apologises for having appointed him in the first place. And as you say, it now appears the police have begun an investigation of some sort, although I appreciate you also read out earlier that the police say that doesn't imply any wrongdoing. It's just part of investigations. And that's where we leave things at the moment, a very fractious mood in the Labour Party. Peter Mandelson seeming to have gone very quiet at the moment. We don't really know whether he's going to categorically go through all of the particular charges made against him and rebut them. I haven't heard any comment, I don't know whether you have, on things like the leaking of the documents while he was in government to Epstein, which is obviously a new and much more serious matter than previously thought.
Yeah. Let's focus just on that first question you had about Labour insiders wrangling the different Labour factions, because Labour infighting is a bit of a black box to many. Can you give us a bit of the contours of what this means in terms of Labour leadership contenders? Who's seen as allied with Mandelson, and what does this mean for Keir Starmer himself as Prime Minister?
So, I think this one is actually been quite a uniting factor on Labour factions, in that people are pretty appalled by Peter Mandelson. It previously used to be, parts of the Labour left who hated Peter Mandelson, for a range of reasons going a long way back. Some parts of the Labour Party in the centre who sort of accepted that he was, a man who brought a lot of baggage to the party but had some talent, and maybe some parts of the right who saw him as, a role model, or at least someone who they could learn from. And I think everyone is now uniformly aghast and appalled at his behaviour. I've heard people who have spoken very kindly of Peter Mandelson for many years, now saying, I can't believe I didn't see through this guy. He has completely, he's completely screwed us, to be frank. Yeah. To your question about what's happening in the Labour Party at the moment, there are always rumours about possible contenders. I think that's true of all parties who'd like to one day be Prime Minister. And Keir Starmer's view has always been, I want as many tall flowers as I can have, so I don't mind people having these ambitions. Whether anyone's going to go over the top and make a move against the Prime Minister, I think is still unclear. It's clearly a major crisis, but it seems to me that many people are holding fire at the moment in terms of putting their own names out there, because there's an awful lot of difficult stuff coming at the government over the coming weeks. So it may be that this is a sort of frozen conflict for some time.
And just before I open up to the rest of the panel, when do you think a leadership challenge might be mounted, if one indeed is?
I don't know if there will be, to be honest with you. The thing about sort of Keir Starmer, having worked for him myself in opposition, is he gets written off all the time. I first went to work for him in spring 2021 after he'd lost the Hartlepool by-election and had a reshuffle that had gone badly and was back at -10 in the polls. And everyone said to me, don't go and take that job. There's no way of turning this around. That guy's done. And each time that's happened, he has shown through a combination of sort of resilience that he's willing to go through the difficult times and still be standing at the end. So I don't know how this is going to pan out. It feels very volatile, febrile, but I would say every time he's been written off in the past, he's still there. So I wouldn't assume this is a done deal.
Yeah. Sam, this excuse from Starmer that he was deceived by Mandelson, I don't think he's cutting it with the public, because he was either deceived, in which case that demonstrates shocking incompetence, or he wasn't deceived, and that demonstrates fundamentally that he was lying to the British public. And there is some evidence for that, given that there was so much public information out about the extent of the relationship between Mandelson and Epstein. So what do you put this down to? Do you put this down to incompetence on behalf of Stammer and his spads, or do you put it down to something more sinister, that he may have been deliberately lying to the British public?
No, thanks, Will. I see a lot more in the world of nuance than that. Definitely not deceiving the public. Keir, for all his faults, and having been a former chief of staff, like being an ex-wife, I'm well aware of his shortcomings. But he is someone who takes public service very seriously. Some of you will run organisations or teams. Every time you hire someone, every time you fire someone, you are taking a risk-based decision. And I've done plenty of both myself. And I think the risk-based decision they took in appointing Peter Mandelson was, yes, he comes with baggage, but yes, he comes with known talent, and the Trump era DC is going to be a weird place where you need someone who can maneuver these situations. I think they took that risk-based assumption based on some really faulty evidence. The stuff that's come out in the last 4, 5, 6 days is frankly appalling. And, as I think I heard one of the presenters say, even Peter Mandelson's worst enemies did not think him capable of the things that it appeared. Keir took his risk-based decision based on some incomplete evidence, and by the sounds of it, being overtly lied to by Peter Mandelson as well.
Hi, Sam. I would say, as a woman and a mother of a girl, that anybody who had contact with Epstein after 2006, when he took down his felony charges from what they actually were, which was sex with underage girls, should never have been anywhere near him. So surely there's more than just taking a risk base here. There was clear evidence that this man was trouble, up to awful things. There were going to be victims. They should have all stepped away from him back in 2006. Forget 2015, 16, 17.
I couldn't agree with you more on Epstein being a monster, and too often this debate turns into something about, who said what, this politician, this judgment, when the heart of this story is about, a monstrous person who used his power and position to abuse hundreds of women and girls in appalling, unimaginable ways. And I know we're right to be talking about this because this is a real crisis, but I cannot help but think this is going to be triggering for a lot of people who've been through something like that. So, you're right. Epstein and what he did was monstrous. The degree of relationship, friendship, trust, and ongoing relationship Peter Mandelson clearly had with him after the conviction, I think is pretty unforgivable.
Yeah. Well, Sam White, we are going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Lord Mandelson has previously denied any wrongdoing in relation to Jeffrey Epstein, stating, "I was never culpable or complicit in his crimes. Like everyone else, I learned the actual truth about him after his death." He added that he had relied on assurances of his innocence that turned out later to be horrendously false. And a Downing Street spokesperson also told GB News, Peter Mandelson's actions are unforgivable. He lied to the Prime Minister, hid information that has since come to light, and presented Jeffrey Epstein as someone he barely knew. Well, still to come tonight.
It's racist. I have no words. I find it disgusting.
Trigger tantrums are coming up shortly, but first is our bunch of fives. This is Saturday 5, live on GB News.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Yet more wet and windy weather to come this weekend for Iberia, although Sunday at least is less wet for a brief period. There are also lots of showers affecting parts of Greece into Turkey. Italy dry at first on Sunday, but this next batch of rain and showers moves through, that bringing some heavy downpours to the Balearics. Drier for a time across Spain, Portugal and the Canary Islands, but more rain and wind on the way by early next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Good evening.
Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more rain to come, especially across eastern Scotland tonight. Showers easing elsewhere, and that will allow a few mist and fog patches to start Sunday morning. So low pressure is still dominating our weather. The wind's coming up more from a south and southeasterly direction. So the rain across Northern Ireland, Northern England will continue to push its way northwards, coming into much of Scotland. We have a yellow Met Office rain warning in force again for eastern parts of Scotland, so you could see some disruption and some flooding. To the south of that, any clear skies. We may even see some mist and fog patches across the southeast of England and across Northern Ireland. Otherwise, a generally frost-free, mild start to Sunday. But a wet Sunday to come across much of Scotland, even pushing into western areas. But most persistent rain, first thing, is going to be across eastern areas. Across Northern Ireland to start Sunday morning, quite murky with some low cloud, mist and fog. A similar picture for the rest of England and Wales. There could be some brightness just coming through first thing on Sunday. For Sunday as a whole, though, it does look to be generally drier than Saturday. There will be some breaks in the cloud to give it some glimpses of some sunshine, but otherwise later on in the afternoon we'll start to see showers progressing in from the west. So across Devon and Cornwall into Wales we'll see some heavy showers, possibly with some thunder, longer spells of rain persisting across Scotland. Otherwise, it's still generally rather mild, highs of up to 9 or 11 degrees. A messy picture as we go into Monday. A lot of cloud around, perhaps quite murky to start. Further spells of rain pushing their way northwards into Scotland. And then again, areas that do not need any more wet rainfall, it is going to be turning wet in the west, drier in the east with some sunshine. The unsettled theme is still here to stay, but perhaps temperatures just dropping later.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5. See, this is the problem with having all these showbiz names with us on the panel tonight. They're gossiping in the break. Can you believe it?
They're not.
It's absolutely outrageous. Yes, you are. I don't know who on earth you're talking about. Anyway, please keep getting in contact at gbnews.com/your say. Get those questions in for Ask the 5. That'll be from 8 p.m. and we do want to get some more in. So if you've got a burning question, do write it in the box. Right. Next, it's time for this. Yes, it's Bunch of 5, where we pick out something you might have missed, a story that made us laugh, perhaps, and Will's going to kick us off. Will, what do you have for us?
Yes, the loony communist mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani, has come out with another banger. This time he has used the history of Islam to justify his dangerous views on mass migration. Let's see it.
We have the power to set ourselves free. And I consider my own faith, Islam, a religion built upon a narrative of migration. The story of the Hijrah reminds us that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a stranger too, who fled Mecca and was welcomed in Medina. Surah An-Nahl 1642 tells us, as for those who immigrated in the cause of Allah after being persecuted, we will surely bless them with a good home in this world.
It's almost like the history of Islam is about liberal migration policies and not a history of conquest. This is part of a growing trend across the West. You have We're Islamic politicians who are increasingly comfortable putting a more muscular spin on their religion and incorporating it more fully into public life, I think is dangerous. I've said on this show before, I don't think that Islam is compatible with Western liberal democracy, but unfortunately, it is becoming a growing influence, not just in the US, but on UK politics as well.
Hang on, most world religions have incredibly nuanced, complicated, patchy relationships throughout history with its actions, right? You have no issue with a much more muscular version of Christianity, which hasn't been felt in this country for a very long time, political Christianity, be it coming to the fore in the last few months.
No, because this is a Christian country. The country is based on Judeo-Christian principles, which are compatible with the Western liberal democracy. Christianity has had an enlightenment, which Islam has not. That is the key distinction.
It also makes me feel a little bit sick that across the Middle East, that used to have Jews living quite comfortably side by side Muslims, they were all chased out of every single one of those countries because they wouldn't tolerate, you know, the Jewish migrants. They wouldn't tolerate them, but they want to be tolerated.
So we shouldn't be intolerant in response. Dr. Renee, you are next. What do you have for us? Is it quite as deeply serious as that one?
On that note, I would like to argue for more masculinity in the world. We saw the story this week, and I think I won't steal your thunder, of a very, very, very brave young Australian boy who swam for 4 hours to rescue his family. That is masculinity at work.
Yep.
We saw the bus driver last week that I spoke about who chased down a thief and then pinned him down after knocking him out, who then lost his job because apparently that was toxic masculinity, and so it goes on. Masculinity is not toxic. I am more than happy for the men in my life to be masculine. There are jobs that I can't do because I'm not strong enough. They can do them. I'm proud that my partner wants to look after me. My partner wants to walk on the side of the cars on the road because he's old-fashioned and he feels it's his job. We need more of that. We need to tell boys that they are strong, that they are stronger than girls, that they should use that strength in a positive way, and it is not toxic.
And you're absolutely right. And it's not just physical strength either, it's mental strength.
Yep.
It's actually, I love all of that stuff, but walking on the outside of the pavement, it is the right thing to do. It's how you're brought up to do that, opening doors. And actually, we need to go back to that. But, I did this the other day. I opened a door for a girl who told me, how dare you?
Oh,
you know?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't understand
I
it.
don't understand
A lefty, no doubt.
A lefty.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's almost this sense of almost you opening up the door. It's just offensive because I could do it myself. It's not about that. It's about tradition.
I'd say thank
and the
you.
thing in most women want strong men.
They do.
I've never met a woman in my life that says, I want a really soft sort of mummy's boy that hasn't got it all together mentally. I've never seen that.
Well, let's open the door to a man now. David, what's your story?
OK, so this is about my favourite political character, mad, swivel-eyed Ed Miliband, OK? So he, as you know, he loves net zero, he loves a bit of net zero, so he wants a 180-turbine project off the coast of Norfolk and Yorkshire, which is exactly what people of Norfolk and Suffolk don't want, by the way. Now, he offered the energy company £85 per kilowatt hour, per megawatt hour, sorry, to build this. The Danish energy giant said, no, we don't want that, so we're not going to build it. So what does he do? He ups the price to get the company to build this stupid thing, which is way above the cost of energy anyway. We have the highest cost of energy in this country. And actually, energy in this country is underpinned by the price of gas. And there's a second story here, which is that under Ed Miliband's latest net zero drive, if you are a landlord, you have to have an EPC, the energy rating... Performance certificate of at least a C. Now, what that smacks to me is that he's never been to the countryside, because I live in a very old, drafty house because it's 18th century. You will never get it to an EPC of C. You just won't.
Yeah.
And I heat my house with oil. Now, it doesn't matter how many heat pumps I have or whether I have a turbine in the garden, it will never be warm enough.
He doesn't care. It's
I know
he
doesn't care.
Understand. He doesn't
but
care.
Rennie, we only emit 1% of global emissions. 1%. And I'll tell you something else.
You personally, 2%.
That's very kind. But if we actually allow drilling, oil, fracking, all that stuff, it will bring down the cost of energy. Businesses will be able to operate. Pubs can stay open, and it means we can get a beer.
I think those are pretty outlandish promises.
Why?
If we can just
why? We're sitting on trillions of pounds worth of oil.
Fields in the North
Trillions
Sea
of pounds worth of oil.
is going to solve everything. That's
certainly
productive. I think
it would help.
We do need to move on. Trey, what do you have?
OK, so my story is of Donald Trump, the president that keeps on giving, and he posted a what can I call it? A meme set to a popular cartoon. I don't know if we've got any video of this. Let's watch it.
No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at a lot of thousands of things. I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in someplace, Georgia. There was a lot of voter fraud, 2020 voter fraud. And I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a picture that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. I looked at the first part.
So the thing about this is he depicted the Obamas as apes, which, to be honest, I'm sure even they're not offended. It's got to the point there's no offence. But I think my disappointment is more this. Why can't the Trump just say, I'm sorry, you know, junior staffer made an error, you know, I didn't see it, and I apologise for any offence caused. That's my disappointment with Donald Trump, you know. In some ways, I like the fact when Trump was coming out, I thought, OK, he's talked about draining the swamp and all the rest of it, I thought it was going to be a good thing. But when we talked about toxic masculinity, that's where it feels like a little bit, right? There's a real sense of, he can just say, you know, I'm sorry, I made an error.
Yeah.
Why not?
This is highly misleading without context. For the context, he put up a video, he reposted a video on Truth Social, which was portraying different politicians in the US as Lion King characters. So I think Hillary Clinton was a wildebeest of some kind. You know, they were all different animals. So it was in the context of that. Right. Now, does it look a bit off? Yes.
Would you have apologised for that if that was you? Why are you saying, why not just say yes? That's what I don't understand.
I probably would have apologised.
But that's what it is. That's what I think people get offended by. It's so easy. Look, think. Gary Lineker got sacked pretty much for having a rat, and for similar circumstances, right? You know, thoroughly awful example of, you know, Jewish anti-Semitism, and you know, he fell on his sword. Why not just apologise? It's very easy.
Yeah, because the answer is this. Trump gets away with
everything.
He knows as much, he's said as much. He said it on stage at a rally. The first time he ran, I could shoot a baby in the street on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. He shows time and time again there's a Trump distortion field, and for as much as the right like to claim that people have Trump derangement syndrome, it's in fact them who have it. It's true. We are going to move on. I'm going to talk about something actually fun, because this has been a little bit serious, hasn't it? No, it's not Beavers. It is Crotchgate. Yes, the World Anti-Doping Agency has had to intervene and is investigating Olympic ski jumpers who have been injecting acid, hyaluronic acid to be clear, not, you know, sulfuric, into penises to enhance their performance at the ski jump. Apparently ski jumpers are subjected to 3D scanners to ensure that suits with excess material do not create a sail-like effect that actually expands the length of their jump and gives them an advantage. This is fascinating. I think the coach and the assistant coach have been sacked or have been had a ban for 18 months or something like this. I mean, it's crazy, but who'd have thunk it? I mean,
I think that just shows real dedication to the desire to win, and I think they should be congratulated.
Well, they've been working really hard on trying to ensure
probably not
their
the best
success.
Choice of words.
It was an intentional choice of words, Will. I think you'll find.
Well, it's inventive, isn't it?
It is.
I'll give them that. I mean, hyaluronic acid is normally used to smooth over wrinkles and so on. I mean,
puff up cheeks and
puff up cheeks. Yes, yes. There's a huge burgeoning industry. No, it's used as part of anti-aging medicine. But I mean, to think.
I look too good to know what that.
Well, you do exactly. I was thinking that.
So do you.
That's it. But I was just thinking. You know, you'd have to be very resourceful to think I'm going to put it there, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean. So I don't think they should be too harsh on them, because that is one brave sport.
Yeah, it's dedication.
Well,
dedication.
From one type of crotch to another, still to come tonight. In truth, I haven't got that up close and personal with a beaver. And so, to be honest, this is the best day of the year.
We're making dreams come true.
Absolutely. That's coming up shortly, but first tonight, Stop Throwing a Tantrums. You're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
GB News Breakfast.
every day from 6 a.m.
And you see, I would have thought that the Stammer business had gone away, right? But it hasn't gone away. It'll always be with you, but you control it very well. Indeed, we should point out that Gareth has his voice coach, Amy, in the studio today, here in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing, having a stammer. You know, unfortunately, there's no cure for it. But I'm part of a speech therapy program called the Maguire program. Myself and my coach, Amy, is on the same program, and we help each other. And we learn a new way of breathing, new way of speaking, and most importantly, a new way of tackling the mindsets which come with having a stammer, which is fear. This is my most fearful situation.
But my friend, when you get up on that stage and you put a microphone in your hand and you sing, are you worried about it then? Does it manifest itself then?
No, I mean, every time I sing, or, you know, I've done big West End shows where I've had to act and, you know, read pages of dialogue. Yeah. It's just not an issue because I adopt a different persona. I'm not me. I'm, you know, whatever mask I'm wearing, whatever character I'm playing. I'm really unsure how I'll fare without my top on in this next show that I'm doing, Boy Band in the Buff, but let's see.
What is the stammer caused by then? Because some people, you said it's incurable, so that means that there's actually something, there's an issue.
Yeah, it's certainly a kind of mindset thing. It's actually based upon fear, and you know, we have to sort of retrain ourselves. And you know, if you're scared of heights, for instance, what's the best thing to do? To go to the highest building, and eventually you'll get close to the edge.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday Five. Remember that coming up from 8 p.m, it's Ask the Five, so send in your questions through at gbnews.com/yoursay. There will also, from 8 p.m, be lots of Beaver footage. I bet you can't wait. And we will also be explaining a little bit of context about why we're so obsessed, or why I'm so obsessed, as part of that after 8 p.m. But now, it's time for Triggered Tantrums. Will, I think you're heading up first.
So I've got an update from that great public intellectual Andrew Tate. He's come out and said why he doesn't like reading books. Let's see it.
Reading books is a very cheap way to, I guess, entertain. I wouldn't call it entertainment because my brain is far too advanced. I'm too smart to read. I'm not going to sit there and go, smart people read. No. I need action. I need constant chaos in my life to feel content. I need to be driving a supercar.
Yes, I'm too smart to read books. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before.
Do you know what? I've just argued for more masculinity. That is not it, guys, just to put it out there. That actually makes me feel sick. It really does. Everything about him is really repulsive to me, a woman, and I like masculinity.
It's a shame because some of the stuff that he says does make sense. No one's coming to say if you work out, you know, be the best man you could be. But it's just when it tips over into that stuff. And I don't think most men want Bugattis and thousands of different women. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I don't think a lot of men genuinely want that.
Rocket science, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the man is clearly, he's clearly a stranger to rocket science. What I love about the bit of the clip we didn't see is when he sort of simulates what he clearly thinks reading a book would mean. And he goes, oh, whoa, the pirates on the boat. It's like, oh, my goodness me, this man has never read a book of his life. How would he know? It's such a lack of curiosity that astounds me.
Maybe it was Robinson
The point is, there are considerably better people making those types of arguments.
Yeah, true,
right? Like,
true.
You know, Jordan Petersons of this world would be a better person to follow and read than Andrew Tate to get that type of messaging.
Yeah. Dr. Renee, what's your trigger tantrum this week?
OK, so the Grammys happened last week, and I just want you to see an acceptance speech by Billie Eilish. What a star.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Nice is all I want to say, sorry.
I remember the day, because I'm old, about 1,000 years old, don't say anything, where they would thank their producer and their mum and their dad and the hard work.
And God.
But no, now, and God, we have to make political statements that no one is illegal on stolen land, which is quite interesting because it now transpires that her $3 million house is built on land that was stolen from the Tongva Native American tribe. So now people are asking her if she's going to give it to them.
Yes, can I shout out our very own Ben Leo, who rocked up to her mansion the other day to ask that very question. He didn't get very far, but I think it was a noble attempt nonetheless.
Yeah, can I just say one thing?
Oh,
I think there
God,
is...
if you must.
No. It's in support of what you have to say.
Yes, you can.
We're sort of blessed that one part of woke culture from the States that we haven't imported over to the UK.
I don't know.
No, this sort of declarations of stolen land, declarations
Emma
of
Thompson?
whose territory XYZ is this big nonsense that pervades in Canada and Australia and
Mate,
the
leftists
US.
talk about the shameful history of colonialism every 2 seconds in this country. That's where the argument sits on the left of the go.
And the point of an award is you're meant to go up, say thank you very much, take the award, go. Don't make a political statement. You're not a politician. Go.
Yeah.
Just stop.
And you're probably thick.
Yeah, invariably.
Hang on, but so do you not think public figures should give us their views on politics?
I think there's a time and a place, isn't there? And that's not the time or the place.
There was that comment. Ricky Gervais said, most of you lot have had less schooling than Greta Thunberg. You have no right to lecture the public on anything.
Yeah,
Ricky Gervais is so often right.
If you haven't, I'm a big fan of actually just watching every single one of Ricky Gervais's hosting speeches at the Golden Globes in one go. So about 22 minutes, every single minute.
And then watch Armageddon.
Your time. I'm going to kick off with my tantrum now, and it follows on from our discussions of the Epstein case. Let's take a look at this.
He knew everybody that was very powerful. So, like, if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like, to be honest, like, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right, so the people who aren't in the files are leaving?
Yes.
OK. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am, because it's any journalist that wrote about it.
It's great. Sort of speaks for itself. I mean, everybody who's not in the files is a loser.
Proud to be a loser.
I think that means us and indeed probably most of the viewers at home, if not all.
David, are you a loser?
Yeah, without a doubt.
You know it's going to be clipped, don't you?
Oh, and it'll be on replay the whole time,
I love that. I didn't notice if you said this, guy, but that is Prince Andrew's former girlfriend. And all I'll say is they appear that they would have been a very, very good match.
Yes, just to make clear, Lady Victoria Hervey.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I didn't recognise that.
That's, well, apparently she's in the files a number of times. Trey, do you think Epstein was a big The Apprentice fan?
What's that?
Big The Apprentice fan? Are you here?
Epstein?
Epstein.
What of course not. My God. Do you think he cares about that? Well, he operates at a level way higher than that. I don't think Lord Sugar would have anything to do with something like that.
Yeah, he loved watching telly. He loved UK telly as well.
Did he?
He was a UK journalist sort of picked out some of the films and television programmes that he mentions in the emails, and there's some obscure stuff from ITV in there.
But it might be also because Trump...
emails. I don't.
Well, I don't know. I'm not old.
But Trump
enough to remember
did.
Emails.
Trump was actually the host of the Apprentice of America.
That's right.
So
I can imagine him watching the US
version,
because
exactly.
I think successful business people like to see young people coming through the ranks, even if it's to laugh at them, isn't it?
Yeah. Although Trump also saw the value of TV as well. He did. Which is why he's so good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, plenty more of this discussion to come. We'll, of course, as you know, for the Saturday 5 Extra, be going a bit lighter, having a bit more fun. Do not go anywhere, because the Saturday 5 Extra will have us letting our hair down. Anything could happen. What could go wrong? So get ready. There'll be beavers as well. We'll see you. We'll just be back in just a minute.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, there's more rain to come, especially across eastern Scotland tonight. Showers easing elsewhere, and that will allow a few mist and fog patches to start Sunday morning. So low pressure is still dominating our weather. The wind's coming up more from a south and southeasterly direction. So the rain across Northern Ireland, Northern England will continue to push its way northwards, coming into much of Scotland. We have a yellow Met Office rain warning in force again for eastern parts of Scotland, so could see some disruption and some flooding. To the south of that, any clear skies. We may even see some mist and fog patches across the southeast of England and across Northern Ireland. Otherwise, a generally frost-free, mild start to Sunday. But a wet Sunday to come across much of Scotland, even pushing into western areas. But most persistent rain first thing is going to be across eastern areas, across Northern Ireland to start Sunday morning, quite murky with some low cloud, mist and fog. A similar picture for the rest of England and Wales. There could be some brightness just coming through first thing on Sunday. For Sunday as a whole, though, it does look to be generally drier than Saturday. There will be some breaks in the cloud to give it some glimpses of some sunshine, but otherwise later on in the afternoon we'll start to see showers progressing in from the west. So across Devon and Cornwall into Wales we'll see some heavy showers, possibly with some thunder. Longer spells of rain persisting across Scotland. Otherwise it's still generally rather mild, highs of up to 9 or 11 degrees. A messy picture as we go into Monday. A lot of cloud around, perhaps quite murky to start. Further spells of rain pushing their way northwards into Scotland, and then again areas that do not need any more wet rainfall. It is going to be turning wet in the west, drier in the east with some sunshine. The unsettled theme is still here to stay, but perhaps temperatures just dropping later.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could win cash and the ultimate holiday in our two-part Great British giveaway. Thanks to Riviera Travel, you could be jetting off on a £10,000 dream holiday for 2 people. With flights, transfers and luxury accommodation included, you'll get to choose the kind of holiday you want. Plus, we're going to give you £30,000 in tax-free cash.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
no, you didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night, and this is the Saturday Five. I'm Kai Wilshaw, along with Will Kingston, Renee Hunderkamp, David Bull, and Trey Lowe. Tonight on the show,
will the Mandelson saga finish Keir Starmer?
It's racist. I have no words. I find it disgusting.
Why do lefties hate our flag so much?
The biggest uplifting stories of the week in High Five.
And get your questions in for Ask the Five. Nothing is off topic.
I actually see a lot of myself in the Beaver.
See yourself in the Beaver?
I see a lot of myself in the Beaver. You know, the...
Yes, I've been in the south of England, and we'll bring you my report on beavers. It's 8 p.m, and this is the Saturday 5 Extra. Welcome to the Saturday 5 Extra. Of course, we do want to keep hearing your views. I've got a couple here. Andrew Tate, you're not big fans. Molly Sugden says... Molly Sugden agrees with Andrew Tate. She says, I am with Andrew Tate. I'm a doer and like DIY rather than reading a book.
Maybe go and watch the rest of that clip that we cut.
Yeah. Well, he certainly is a doer in one sense. And Ronnie B says, you'd never guess he doesn't read. Indeed. They're talking about you, though. And, of course, we want to know your views. Keep sending your comments in. We're going to run through them shortly and ask the 5. No topics are off limits, in theory. But before we start tearing each other apart, it's your Saturday Night News with Sophia Wensler.
Kai, thank you and good evening. It's 1 minute past 8. These are your headlines. The Metropolitan Police says the criminal investigation into allegations against Lord Mandelson is complex. The force has concluded their search of 2 of his properties in London and Wiltshire and said that a significant amount of further evidence gathering and analysis is required. It comes as Lord Mandelson was visited at his North London home by a defence barrister who specialises in white-collar crime. Adrian Derbyshire, KC, was seen at the door of the disgraced peer's home today. Peter Mandelson is accused of sending market-sensitive government information to paedophile Jeffrey Epstein while he was the business secretary during the financial crisis. Gordon Brown, who was Prime Minister at the time, says he deeply regrets bringing him into government and accused him of betraying his country. Mandelson denies any wrongdoing. Downing Street, meanwhile, is preparing to disclose thousands of documents related to his hiring and time in the job, which the Prime Minister believes will prove he lied about his relationship with the disgraced financier. A handful of MPs have suggested Sir Keir Starmer should consider his position, including Green Party leader Zach Polanski.
Keir Starmer should absolutely resign. He knew that Peter Mandelson was friends with a notorious paedophile. He was still staying in his house even after he was convicted. And he did it because he thought he could whisper in Donald Trump's ear. Now, if this was just one mistake, I would say it would probably still be a resignation issue. But we know it's been mistake after mistake after mistake. Keir Starmer has lost the trust and confidence of the British public, and it's very clear it's time for him to step down.
In other news, President Volodymyr Zelensky says the US wants Moscow and Kyiv to find a solution on how to end the war in Ukraine before the summer. The Ukrainian president added that both sides had been invited to the US for talks next week. It comes after Zelensky claimed Russia had launched 400 drones and 40 missiles in its latest attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. And the NHS is hiring foreign GPs to treat patients virtually from abroad, according to reports in the Telegraph newspaper. It's understood doctors are being hired who are based in countries including Australia, India and Malaysia as part of the NHS's 10-year plan to free up GPs. It means patients will be treated by their doctor over a computer screen or on the phone. It comes after a report in December revealed the UK has twice as many foreign doctors and nurses as the Western average. And England have started the Six Nations off with a bang, beating Wales 48-7 in their opening match at the stadium. Arundel celebrated his first Test start since the 2023 World Cup by running in 3 first-half tries, and there were also touchdowns for Ben Earl, Toe Roebuck and Tommy Freeman, as well as a penalty try. Those are the latest GB News headlines. Now it's back to the Saturday 5.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Oh, yeah. It's Saturday night and you're with the Saturday 5. Trey's been sending me comments from the audience just as we're going on air. Renee's asking me questions. Come on, guys, what's going on?
So it's multitask.
Yeah,
multitask. This is your job.
No, I just told you. I just told David I'm dumb as rocks. I can't multitask.
Okay.
That's not good.
Well, and you're also male.
Male?
Oh, enough already.
Wow.
It's Miss Andrew. Come on, speak up.
Exactly. What is with the Miss Andrew?
Can you multitask?
Kind of. I can do at least 2 things.
I actually think it is one of those gender stereotypes that does hold true.
No, it does not. No, it does not. I used to spend a lot of time putting you in your box about things like this.
Goodness me.
Wow.
Men can't find things.
That's rubbish.
No, that's not true.
They have a man
Look in
drawer.
the cupboard and they can't find
No, I
anything.
disagree with that bit.
Well, maybe we can get to that in one of what is my favourite segment, Ask the 5. Okay, you've been busy having your say, sending your questions in, covering the uncovered. Mark asks, who is the most likely candidate to replace Keir Starmer as Prime Minister? All right, we're going to go down the line. Will, first? What do you think?
I think a lot of people are saying the favourite is Angela Rayner. I actually think, and this is very scary, it is Ed Miliband. I just think that the issues that she has still around the tax stuff means that Miliband is probably more likely.
Renee, is it Red Ange?
I think it's more likely to be Ange because I think they're still scarred by what Miliband did to them last time.
A complicated answer. I think Wes Streeting would be a good shout. However, the left really don't like him, so they want Angela Rayner. She's got £1 million ready to go, although she has the HMRC stuff hanging over her. Of course, the person that really should have been there, according to many of the members, is Andy Burnham. And had Keir Starmer let him run in the by-election, which is taking place in Manchester, he may well have become an MP.
And who's going to win the by-election, do you think?
Well, I can't. Well, aren't we in Purder?
Yeah,
I have to be very. Yeah, we're in Purder.
Naughty.
So, but all I can say is.
No, I wouldn't say
All I was going to say is that the various parties are out being very busy. Look, I'm very good. We're in Purder. We're in Purder.
The problem for Streeting is that he's not going to win his seat in the next election. He'd need to move seats.
Who would?
Streeting. Streeting was already...
Yes, he would. So Ilford, I think his majority is like 80 or something.
Yeah,
and it's
it is
terribly
tiny.
low, isn't it?
Yeah.
Guys, you missed that one name, though, which it could be.
Go on.
Who? Shabana Mahmood.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Apparently she was
Too
second
right.
in the polling.
Too far right.
Do
the
you think?
Labour Party.
Too far right, but also too inexperienced at the moment, I think.
What do you think her chances would be if she did?
They want to go left.
The members will never vote for her.
The unions will never vote for her. And they have power.
But the public...
Yeah, but they don't get a vote.
I'm saying that what I'm saying is, from a pragmatic point of view, Labour's going to get trounced.
But Labour isn't pragmatic.
If they go towards the left.
That's the point.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Peter Mandelson saga has really made things quite complicated.
So who do you think? I want to know what you think.
There was lots of talk about Wes going over the top, i.e. Putting together the 80 MPs required to challenge Keir Starmer. I think this does complicate things for him. I've supported Angela Rayner before, as you know. But it's said that she's still waiting for her HMRC
But Angela Rayner has not
It might be a dark
anything,
horse
ever.
candidate. She was Deputy Prime Minister for
but what I mean is, she has no
Deputy
experience
leader.
of life, so we've already
So
got...
you say?
Well,
Many people would actually argue
But we've got...
she has considerably more experience of life than most politicians.
But go round the
in House
country,
of
look at the small businesses, look at the carpenters, the plumbers, the employers' national insurance, all the businesses closing, the shops closing. Does Angela Rayner know how to resuscitate this country? No. I rest my case.
Look, sorry, can I just... This ridiculous notion that only business experience or only managerial positions qualify you for high office. Actually, the vast majority of people in this country will be disqualified on that basis.
But I don't think that's
it
what
doesn't mean... So understanding of running the economy, that could be outsourced to a Chancellor of the Exchequer.
I think Angela Rayner demonstrated how little she understands about business with her employment bill.
Yeah.
Correct.
Which was signed through by Parliament and all are happy about it. Anyway...
But that doesn't mean it's right.
We're going to move on, but I do need to say one thing briefly. You may have heard some discussion around the Gorton and Denton... Sorry.
You opened the
Which is
worms.
taking place on Thursday, 26th of February. The by-election was triggered after the resignation of Andrew Gwynn. The Conservatives have announced Charlotte Cadden as their candidate. Hannah Spencer is the Green Party's candidate. Jackie Percy has been announced as the Liberal Democrats' candidate. Matt Goodwin was announced as Reform UK's candidate. Angeliki Stogia is the Labour Party's candidate. Advance UK have announced Nick Buckley as their candidate. Sebastian Moore is the Social Democratic Party candidate. The Rejoin EU Party announced Joseph Omicha as their candidate. There was also Dan Clark from the Libertarian Party UK, Sir Oinkalot from the Monster Raving Loony Party, and Hugo Wills. He is the candidate for the Communist League election campaign, and that serves me right. Okay. We'll be doing that again in a hurry. Our next question is from Jackie. Can someone tell me what the point of local councils is? They don't work for the people of this country and just use our taxes to pay for illegal immigrants that came literally yesterday and have no right to be here. Let's get rid of all local councils and give us back our money. The one thing I would say to Jackie is adult health and social care is the vast majority of local councils' budget, so her statement of fact, as she's put it, is just eminently false. But I'd be interested to know what you think.
So the problem is, and I'm not disagreeing with what you just said, the problem is that Jackie demonstrates what people are feeling. And it's that feeling that is going to kick your lot out whenever that general election comes.
But I think what she's also referring to is that there is this trend amongst so many councillors, usually on the left, where they have this hero complex and they think that their role isn't to fix the potholes and do the basics, it is to virtue signal on issues like Palestine and other world affairs that they have absolutely no influence on.
Will, when it comes to budgets, when it comes to actually the day-to-day activity of local councils, that represents a tiny, minuscule proportion of what they do, as reform councils have learnt to their detriment.
Doesn't matter. I want them focusing on things that they actually have control over. But unfortunately, that isn't sexy enough.
But that's right. You focus on the performative rather than the policy.
But what the residents want is they see their council tax bills going up and up and up and up. What they want is their potholes fixed, they want their bins emptied, they want clean streets. None of this is rocket science. I agree with you about social care. But actually, surely, we should take social care away from local councils and put it in with health as a national directive. And that would then make much more sense as far as I can see.
No to abolishing local councils, Dre?
No, absolutely not. I mean, make them more efficient. Anyone that's had to deal with a council if your landlord is absolutely excruciated. Make them more efficient, make them more equal. It's funny, right? I just wrote down, I used to live in Lambeth, which is one street away from Wandsworth, and the difference in council tax was about 80%. I was like, why is it one borough is so efficient or seemingly so cheap and the other one isn't? And they were neighbouring, so clearly it should be...
of five, Wandsworth
exactly was one of the best.
They're paying more tax than all of the North for reasons that is to do with multicultural.
It has been, hasn't it? Absorbed it.
Our next question is from our favourite, Julie, and she has sent a video through.
Good evening, panel. So, today is National Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. This originated in New York in the 60s. So, what ice cream would you have for breakfast and why?
Oh, what a wonderful question. You always come in with the best questions. Can I just say one thing? One great thing about adulthood, I think, is you realise sometimes you go into the shop and you're like trying to make all the sensible choices. You realise you can have whatever you like. So ice cream for breakfast, all power to you. I would have salted caramel. I know it's a pretty basic choice, but I think for me, and I eat a lot of sweet things, it's that perfect combination. I do. I often bring them into the green room.
You are going to get
You're going to need both these two,
It's got that sweet, got that salty. I'll need them later in life, and the world will be burning by then anyway. Will, what's your ice cream for breakfast choice?
It would either be raspberry sorbet or choc chip, but not together.
Never the
people who
twin
eat sorbet and creamy-based ice creams, they're psychopaths.
Interesting. I am minded to agree, but sometimes would you not have, for instance, a fruit sorbet with just a vanilla?
One of my principles in life is I don't mix fruit and chocolate.
Yeah, I'm with Will, but you know...
It'll be a multicultural ice cream, that's right.
I've got two answers to this. I don't really like ice cream that much, but if I do mint choc chip every single time, chocolate ice cream should be illegal.
What?
You're not a fan?
Sorry, this ranks in the...
Why?
In the things that should be banned.
It is disgusting, isn't it? I'm glad that Renee says that. It is absolutely vile, chocolate ice cream. I don't like it at all.
So pragmatically, it should be banana or something, or a sorbet or something. But I don't want that. I want cookies and cream. Every time.
I like anything with pistachio in it, basically. But I'm not a massive ice cream person. For breakfast, for me, it's like yoghurt, very, very healthy. When you get to my age, and your blood sugar starts going up, you'll start rethinking your sugar crash. Around the age of 51. Not as old as this guy, but not as attractive as this guy. Very handsome one, this one.
That's
One
outrageous.
of my prompts on the dating apps used to be...
Stop eating ice cream.
Dating me is like ... eating pistachio ice cream. Strange, slightly unpleasant, but strangely interesting.
And nutty.
Yeah, nutty, very nutty.
Overhyped.
Oh! I'm not convinced on that much. At least not in the dating sphere.
Was it successful?
Sometimes. Peaks and troughs. Yeah, peaks and troughs.
More troughs.
Potentially, yeah.
That's all very unfortunate.
See where you took us with that question, Julie?
Good question.
Good question, yeah.
Well, I think it's now time for the Great British Giveaway. And your chance to get away on a £10,000 luxury holiday for two of your choice.
Lots of ice cream.
Could be you two, Doctor.
Come on, Rennie, let's go.
Last Bank, a totally tax-free £30,000 in cash. That is a lot of ice cream. That could be your summer sorted. Hayley Sparks has all the details you need.
We want you to boost your bank account with an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. You wouldn't need to treat yourself to a holiday, as we're also going to treat you to the perfect getaway too. There's also a terrific £10,000 to spend on a Riviera travel holiday of a lifetime for two. So whether you fancy a cruise or an escorted tour, you'll have over 30 worldwide destinations to choose from, which means you could be exploring the wonders of Egypt on a Nile River cruise, or find yourself on a grand tour of Japan, in New Zealand, even enjoying the wonders of India. But you've got to be in it to win it.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Still ahead on Saturday 5 Extra.
I actually see a lot of myself in the Beaver.
See yourself in the Beaver?
I see a lot of myself in the Beaver. You know, the...
Yes,
You are a
we'll
big
get
girl.
the panel's response as to whether they see a lot of me in the Beaver as well. Oh, there's my little plushy toy. That's all coming up next.
What's his name?
I don't know, let's think about it.
Something Welsh.
Nigel.
Boring.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I'm doing this for the blue light personnel. And
I'm just saying that's the police. That is all military personnel, fire and rescue,
nurses,
the prison wardens, you know, so you're doing very well there.
Oh, thank you. I think they deserve. And in a moment where we have a very difficult economic climate, you know, I think that is the best thing I could do. And it's not for one day, it's for the rest of my working life.
So, but they have, is there a free day today? Or so what's happening today?
Today, there is a lunch for hundreds of service personnel in Minori, in Hatch End, and it's free meals for all of them.
That's lovely.
as a sign of gratitude.
And then going forward, it's a 15% discount.
That's correct.
Put it in context for people who just sort of, to give a bit of history about who you are and who you've worked with and whatever. You began, was it the Savoy Hotel in London?
I started at the Savoy.
Did you rub shoulders with anybody famous there?
Oh, a lot. Charlie Chaplin, Sophia Loren, Anthony Quinn, Victor. I could go on and on and on. But my very favourite was Charlie Chaplin. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That must have been, he's a world icon, really. I mean, to have met him and...
It's not met them. I built up an amazing relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what did you do? Were you a restaurant owner there, or were you working as a chef there?
No, it's funny. I was a night luggage porter.
Oh, really?
And it was my choice to be a night...
You weren't a chef?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra Beaver. Now, this week, I left the Saturday 5 studio to venture down to Sussex to visit Drusilla's zoo to hear all about the latest plans to rewild Britain. The big secret? Beavers. I spoke with zoo manager Mark and public affairs manager at the British and Irish Zoo Association, Andy Hall. And I'm just going to play this for all those viewers at home before we crack on and discuss as a panel.
We have to discuss.
I'm Kai Wilshaw, on day release from the Stormtrooper factory in Drusilla's Park in the south of England. And can you guess who I'm here to see? No, it's not this old grey grizzly chap. In fact, regular viewers of the show will know that I am Britain's biggest beaver lover. And it turns out I'm not the only one. Yes, a new rewilding campaign has been launched, and up and down the country, people are coming out to support it. So I'm here to find out more. Mark, are you the beaver expert here at Drusilla's?
I guess I could be. I'm the zoo manager, so I'm the most senior figure in the zoo. I've been working in zoos for over 34 years. So my responsibility is the management and the welfare of the plus 800, 900 animals that we have in the park.
All right, well, that's a lot of animals, but tell me, please, about your beaver.
So the beavers are particularly special. We have had beavers in the collection for 35, 40 plus years. They're hugely popular with our visitors. They're hugely popular within our industry. Professionals alike like to come to Drusilla's to see the beavers.
Very exciting. Well, thank you